that I'm growing. I'll start off with the new ones that I've bought that have just been delivered, so they're new for 2022, and then I'll go through the ones that I bought last year and they grew last year, and I've overwintered in the ground. I'll do another video, or I might join that with the video of the dahlias that I've overwintered and show you how they've gone. But yeah, in this video I'll go through the varieties that I bought and I grew last year. Okay, and first up and new for this year is Dr. Tomparr. This is a garden hardy variety, so it will be fine left outside during the winter. The frost won't affect it too much. It's described as being a bronzy pink colour with pom-pom type flowers, and as you can see, the edges of the petals are kind of feathered or fringed, and they've got a tiny little like yellow border along the tips. Okay, and this one is Misty Pearl. I couldn't find many photos of it. I've only got 2 pictures that I'll show after this, but it's described as having a soft shell pink colour, and it opens up to a full ball shape and kind of resembles a woolly pom-pom. This one is Alfred Move, and I'm really excited for this one because of the colour. I find that kind of when chrysanthemums are flowering, which is sort of end of the season, more towards autumn, the colour schemes for bouquets and everything around about that time is the typical oranges and reds, and that's fine, but I want to build a collection of flowers that are more this mauve colour and more purple, and I want to be able to produce bouquets that are sort of that colour scheme rather than the typical reds and oranges. So I'm looking at purples and mauves and, you know, darker colours. So yeah, this is why I'm excited for this one. So this one is actually new for 2022. It's a new breed and it's called Joyce Lawrence. I've only been able to find the one photo of it, so it'll be really interesting to see how this one comes out. It's described as having deep purple flowers. So again, it's another one that I bought specifically to go towards that colour scheme that I'm trying to build for the end of the season, the purple kind of darker colour scheme. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one turns out, especially since there's not much, you know, online about it, so I can't really, you know, it's going to be kind of a surprise. Okay, and this one, I'm probably not going to pronounce the name correctly on it, but I think it's Hana no Yume or Hana no Yum, one of those two, and it's a cascade chrysanthemum. So as the name describes, if you put it in a container above the ground, it would cascade over the pot and down, which means it's quite a large spreading chrysanthemum as well if you just plant it in the ground. I couldn't find, I think this is quite a new one as well. Well, new for the UK anyway. I couldn't find a lot of information on it at all, and I've only got the one photo of it. And the reason I chose it was because from that tiny photo, I thought it looked really interesting. That you'll be able to see, it's kind of, the way I would describe it is, it's kind of irregular sort of lengthed petals around the outside, and then kind of a pom-pommy, fluffy petal center, and it's this gorgeous pink color. And I've got a couple of other pink chrysanthemums, so I think it would go quite well with some of the other things that I've got. Okay, and here we have coral reef. So this is classed as a fantasy chrysanthemum, or some people call it a spider chrysanthemum, and you'll be able to see why, because the petals are long and thin and they come out and they curl at the end, and yeah, it's really, really interesting. Now, I actually did buy this one last year as well, and tried to grow it, and I didn't have a lot of success. The plant didn't grow to be very healthy, and then there was some problems with it, and basically I managed to get one flower off of the whole plant. Now don't get me wrong, the flower that I did get, it was very small, but it was amazing. It was really, really interesting. Like when I bought it last year, I was a bit like, I don't know, is this going to be a bit too crazy? Is it going to look a bit odd in a bouquet? But actually, I loved that one flower that I got off of that plant. I thought it was amazing and it was really interesting. So I decided this year to buy a new one and give it another go. And here we have another one that I actually grew last year. So this is bronze fleece. Again, it's classified as a cascading chrysanthemum, and this one actually did amazing last year. The reason that I've bought it again was I loved it so much that I tried to take cuttings from the plant, and yeah, I neglected my cuttings over the winter, and they didn't take. So I really wanted more than just the one plant of this, so I bought another one. And from what you can see, it's gorgeous. I mean, the pictures don't even do it justice. That honeycomb type center is just out of this world. It's fantastic. I love it. So yeah, that's why I want to double up on the plants this year. Okay, and last but not least for the new chrysanthemums that I bought this year is Green Mist. So it's classed as a spider type chrysanthemum, but it's not as big and flamboyant as the coral reef. It's got more of a traditional chrysanthemum shape. However, it has got the long, thin quill type petals. And the reason that I chose this one is because it's green, and I love flowers that are green. I also love flowers that are blue. I like those sort of, primary colours that you don't see too often in nature. Now moving on to the chrysanthemums that I grew last year, and this one is dgem. Now it's a spray chrysanthemum, and it grows on really straight long stems, perfect for cutting, and it has clusters of these double pink flowers. And it grew really well for me last year. It was great. It was really prolific, and I'm just a bit annoyed at myself that I didn't take more photos of it. In fact, I haven't got any really that's worth showing. And one thing, I did find it a bit difficult to match it with other flowers at the time that it bloomed, because I didn't have much else that was pink. It was mostly oranges and reds, and it didn't quite fit. So I'm hoping to fix that this year. And next is dgem bronze, so just like the last one, apart from in orange. Well, orange with these lovely red centres, and this was a lot easier to match up and make bouquets for last year. So yeah, this is a good staple chrysanthemum for flower cutting. And this one is Eloise salmon, and again, the plant actually wasn't that healthy, and I only got a couple of flowers off of it, but oh my gosh, the flowers that I did get were gorgeous. And I'm actually a bit annoyed at myself for not having bought another one of these this year to try and double up, because again my cuttings didn't take. So I've just got to keep my fingers crossed that this comes back just as beautiful this year, and if not, then I'll just have to put it on my list for next year. And here is Eloise pink. Looks very similar to the salmon, obviously just the difference is the colour. I had the same sort of thing. I only got a couple of flowers off the plant, so fingers crossed this year it comes back better. I do prefer the salmon to the pink. I just think the salmon takes it away from looking kind of like your typical chrysanthemum, whereas the pink one is just a bit more generic. Okay, and this one's Perry's Peach. It's a Korean single type, and it's garden hardy. And when I bought it, I was kind of in two minds about it, because the main reason I chose it was because it was hardy, and I thought, oh, if all the other chrysanthemum died, then at least I had something that would have survived because it was hardy. And actually I was really pleasantly surprised. Again, I can't believe I didn't get any photos of this one, so I'll have to make sure I do that this year. But it was amazing. It was really prolific. The stems were were really long, they had loads of flowers on them, and they lasted really well. So actually this one is perfect for cutting, and I know it's a bit simple, but I think it would look really amazing in some bouquets. So I'm excited for this one to come back this year. And last but not least is Alfredo Orange, which is why I've ordered some of the other Alfredo varieties. I was really impressed with this one. It was really prolific, and the flowers were a bit darker than I expected, but oh my gosh, it worked so well for an autumn cut flower. The stems were really long and straight, and it teamed really well with bronze fleece, and I loved it. It was all round a really good cut flower. So yeah, those are my chrysanthemums that I've bought this year and that I grew last year, which are going to come back this year. And yeah, I highly recommend growing chrysanthemums in general. I mean, they hold up really well in the vase, and they aren't just your typical, you know, like bog standard florist variety. There are other ones out there that, you know, are completely different, like the Eloise series. Oh my gosh, that salmon was gorgeous, and it held up just as well as any other standard chrysanthemum when I cut it and put it in the vase. It was amazing. And they do grow, apart from the few that I had a few problems with, but I think that was me. I think that was how I started the cuttings off, and I didn't really, you know, feed them properly and look after them well enough. But they still grew and they still produced flowers, and I have done a bit of a check on my chrysanthemums, and it looks as if they have all survived over the winter, and I'll show you what I did to overwinter them in a different video, along with some other things that I promise I'll show you how I've overwintered them. But yeah, I highly recommend them. Give them a go. They're cheap, the cuttings are cheap, and as long as you've got somewhere to keep them until, you know, the weather's good enough to put them out, then put them out. And then there's lots of different options with overwintering them, which, you know, I'll talk through in that other video. But they're not as difficult to look after as what I thought they would be. You know, they most of them did really well. I honestly, that's why I bought some garden hardy ones, because I was honestly genuinely convinced that my gardening skills were going to be awful and I was going to kill all the varieties that weren't hardy. But no, that didn't happen. They survived, and they at least produced one flower. And some of them were absolutely amazing. Like the Alfredo Orange was so prolific towards the end. They would, like, I didn't take as many photos of bouquets and flowers that I cut last year as what I wanted to, because I was really busy, and it wasn't really a priority because it was my first year growing flowers at all for cutting. So my priority was, can I grow these? And I just wanted to make sure that I could actually grow things. But I did cut a lot of my chrysanthemums, and I made bouquets that I gave to my local soup kitchen, and yeah, I was able to give them bouquets all the way through the autumn, mostly just from the chrysanthemums. A few dahlias, I had a few zinnias that flowered late, and that's what I was making bouquets up of mostly. But the chrysanthemums really did the main bulk of the bouquets. A lot of Alfredo Orange, a lot of Perry's Peach, and yeah, they were really grateful for them, and I was able to, you know, keep them going. So yeah, just in general, I would say go grow chrysanthemums for cut flowers. They're great. They really are. And if I hadn't have had them, I wouldn't have had anything really towards the end of that season. Because I had a few, like I said, I had a few dahlias, a few zinnias, but that was pretty much it. The chrysanthemums made up the bulk of what I was giving away. So yeah, go do it. They're brilliant. They hold up really well in the vase. They're really easy to condition. The stems are really straight, really strong. And yeah, there's not much that I can say about chrysanthemums that are, you know, that's negative really. Just choose the unusual varieties. Choose the ones, you know, that are for exhibition or something, and just see how they grow, rather than, you know, what we expect as sort of a bog standard florist chrysanthemum. Go for something that's a bit different, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, thanks for watching.